The night was quiet, the kind of quiet that feels heavy, as if the whole city is holding its breath. The streets were almost empty, the distant glow of streetlights trembling on the wet pavement. It was late, and the last bus still hadn't arrived. Hannah stood alone at the old bus stop, clutching her files close to her chest. She was exhausted after a long shift at the city library, and the weather wasn't helping. The clouds were dark, swollen with rain, ready to burst any moment. She glanced at her watch for the 10th time, let out a tired sigh, and looked up at the sky as if pleading with it to hold the rain for just a few more minutes. That was when she heard footsteps approaching. She didn't pay much attention at first, until she heard a calm, gentle voice say, "The bus is late again." Startled, she turned. A young man stood a few feet away, hands in his pockets, his hair slightly messy as if he had been walking for a long time. His name was Adeel. She had seen him around this stop a few times, but they had never spoken before. His eyes held something deep, something tired, something wounded, but his tone was polite. "Yes," Hannah replied softly. "It's really late today." Adeel looked up at the sky. "And it's about to rain. If you don't mind, I can wait with you. Standing alone in the dark doesn't feel safe." Her heart reacted before her mind did. There was a sincerity in his voice, so she nodded. A few moments later, the first few drops of rain fell. Adeel quickly pulled out a small umbrella from his bag and opened it. "Come closer," he said gently. "It won't cover both of us unless you stand near." Hannah hesitated but stepped under the umbrella. Their shoulders brushed slightly. The rain grew heavier, hitting the ground like a drumbeat. The small space under the umbrella brought them closer than they expected, close enough that Hannah could hear the softness in Adeel's breathing and Adeel could smell the faint scent of books and jasmine that clung to her. They stood quietly for a few minutes. Then Adeel spoke, his voice low. "Life has a strange way of breaking a person, and then sending someone unexpectedly to hold the pieces." Hannah looked up at him, surprised. "You sound like someone who has been through a lot." He gave a sad smile. "Some stories are too heavy to carry alone. But some stories aren't ready to be told yet." She didn't push. She simply said, "When you're ready, I'll listen." The words hit him deeper than she realized. The bus never came, and the rain didn't stop. Finally, Adeel said, "It's too late now. If you want, we can walk until there's less rain. I'll drop you wherever you need." Hannah agreed. And so they began walking slowly down the quiet street, sharing one umbrella, their steps matching without effort. Rainwater shimmered on the road, reflecting streetlights like scattered stars. They didn't speak much, but the silence between them wasn't awkward, it was strangely comforting. After that night, Hannah found herself thinking about him more than she meant to. And to her surprise, Adeel showed up outside the library a few evenings later. He stood there, slightly nervous, holding 2 cups of warm tea. "I thought you might need this," he said. She laughed softly. "How did you know my weakness?" "It wasn't hard to guess," he said, handing her the cup. That became a routine. Every few days, Adeel would appear, sometimes to borrow a book he clearly didn't intend to read, sometimes to bring her tea, sometimes to sit in the quiet of the library just because she was there. Hannah found herself waiting for him in ways she couldn't explain. She noticed how his shoulders relaxed whenever she smiled. She noticed that his sadness slowly faded each time she talked to him. One evening, she finally asked, "Why do you come here, Adeel?" He lowered his gaze. "Because this place, and you, feel peaceful." "I haven't felt peace in a long time." Hannah wanted to say something comforting, but she stayed quiet, letting him continue. He took a breath. "I loved someone once. Deeply, too deeply, and she left without a reason. It felt like the ground beneath me disappeared. I tried to move on, but I couldn't. For a long time, everything felt empty." Hannah listened carefully, and then, he said softly, "I met you at that bus stop." Her heart skipped. She felt his honesty in her bones. "I don't know what this is," he continued, "but being around you makes breathing easy again." Hannah's voice trembled as she replied, "Maybe some people come into our lives not to replace the ones we lost, but to heal the parts that were broken." For a long moment, they just stood there, the golden library lights casting soft shadows across their faces. Adeel gently reached for her hand, unsure if she would pull away. She didn't. Weeks passed, and their bond deepened quietly. They didn't rush anything. They didn't label anything. They simply existed together. A shared seat in the library, long walks home, warm teas, soft glances, gentle touches. Adeel started laughing more. Hannah started talking more. They became each other's calm place in a chaotic world. One night, as the library was closing, the rain began again, just like the night they first met. Adeel appeared outside with his umbrella. History repeats itself, he teased. Then maybe it's destiny, she whispered. They walked home again under the same small umbrella. But this time, there was no hesitation, no shy distance. Hannah stepped closer, resting her head lightly against his shoulder. Adeel froze for a moment, overwhelmed by the softness of the gesture. Then he wrapped his free arm gently around her, keeping her close. Their footsteps echoed softly on the wet pavement, the kind of rhythm only two hearts in sync could create. When they reached the turn where they usually separated, Hannah didn't step away. She stayed right where she was. Adeel looked at her, searching her face for an answer he wasn't brave enough to ask. She lifted her eyes to his. Adeel, may I ask you something? Anything. Are you still hurting? He swallowed, then shook his head slowly. Not anymore. Why? She whispered. Because I'm starting to believe again, he said, voice barely steady. Because you make me believe. Hannah felt her chest tighten with emotion. Before she could say anything more, Adeel stepped forward, brushing a raindrop from her cheek. His touch was feather-light, trembling with feelings he had held back for too long. Hannah, can I hold you? Just for a moment. She didn't reply with words. She simply leaned forward, closing the distance between them. He wrapped his arms around her, holding her with a tenderness that came from a place deeper than love, something healing, something renewing, something that felt like a new beginning. The rain fell around them, but neither of them cared. In that moment, nothing else existed. Not the past, not the hurt, not the long nights of loneliness. Just two souls, finally finding the warmth they had been searching for. Adeel whispered against her hair, some hearts break so they can be healed by the right person. Hannah tightened her arms around him. Then maybe we were meant to meet, exactly when we did. They stayed like that for a long time, under the soft rain, under the quiet sky, under the umbrella that had brought them together months ago. And for the first time in a long time, both of them felt whole.